Mhm. We're gonna do our little countdown, and we'll get. All right, we're back again with a wonderful session, a splendid topic. Uh, we're talking about the levels of mental sex. And, of course, my favorite co-host, Queen Unique, is in the building. And I have Queen Portia and Queen Zitra in the building as well. So I'll just select the two special guests. Queen Portia, I'll let you start first to tell where you're from and, what is it all that you do. And you can follow her up, Queen Z.
Okay, my name is Portia Crawford, and I am born and raised in Spartanburg, South Carolina, GSP. I am an artist developer, so I work mainly with musicians, but I also do small business development as well as a host of other things. I like to consider myself a Jane of all trades. If it's something that I can learn, I like delving into it. And I consider myself a sapiosexual, which is why I think this conversation is going to be very fun today. Um, and that's pretty much it. Nothing spectacular to follow that.
Okay, Queen Z.
So I
Her phone froze.
a nonprofit organization, and I just published my first book of poetry. So. And yeah, that's pretty much me.
Okay, so what's the name of your book?
First, I had to meet me.
Oh, I love that title.
Me too. That's dope.
Oh, I need that. I need that information. How to purchase.
Yeah, for sure.
It is available on Amazon.
So.
All right.
Wow. So make sure that you, at the end of the show, we'll let you make that announcement again so you can shout the link so people can go ahead and, cop that and get some insight and get some direction and, get the stages that you broke it down in that can help somebody travel through their journey and navigate, through a different destination, different levels. So we're going to get into this splendid topic, the levels of mental sex. And it can be so many levels, and it takes the mind, the emotional presence, the spiritual presence, and it takes the physical to another level too, because once the mental is in a different space, a different level,
King Jacob,
the physical shall follow. From my experience,
King Jacob, can we slow down? You acting like a real man. You are ready for sex tonight. So let me do the disclaimer real quick. This nonprofit organization. Okay. You guys know that. People, but you tell to bed. Pray for us tomorrow. Sunday will come. This is for the grown folks only. It is Saturday night, and it's just us. This is not a part of Unique nonprofit organization. So, sex is healthy, and that's how we all got here. Now, you can be a man, King Jacob, because you just jumped straight on into the sheets. No foreplay, no nothing. But there you go.
Well, like I said, we're discussing the levels of mental sex, and that can be a whole lot of different levels. The mental aspect, the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the spiritual aspect. So, you know, and it's a lot of discussions that need to be had, but a lot of the brothers don't want to talk about this. But I do, you know, because that's what I do. So the first question to these queens that I have in the building is, did the levels of mental sex take the thought, does it take the thought process to a different level? When there's different levels of the mentals, you know, with the sexual vibes, what does it do to the thought process?
Open floor.
Open
Yeah.
floor.
Well, I mean, me personally, I don't feel like there is no gate to sex without some sort of mental connection. So I feel like the queen said, with foreplay, you don't even get I don't even think about sex with a person if they haven't stimulated me in some sort of mental facet at all. So if there was a number one to foreplay, I would think that it was the mental aspect. If me and you can't have a conversation, how am I supposed to ever even imagine you in a sexual light? Like I don't know how people. And now, even with one night stands and things of that nature, you've let your mentality run away. You've built a backstory for that person that you met that night. You guys have connected on some mental level. You didn't just walk home and choose that person for no reason. So I feel like you can't have any kind of relationship really without the mental aspect starting first. And if you do, you're talking about being in for a whirlwind with soul ties and things of that nature, and just being incompatible with the person that you've chosen to lay down with.
Okay. Okay. Queen Z.
No, I definitely agree with that. When it's a mental thing, when you have that involved, it does make it a lot different than if you're just connecting with someone physically. Which again, as Portia said, when it's just a physical thing, it's hard for me to even go through with that because I am very much mental and very much in my head, and I have to have that connection with someone. Because once you get to a point when you realize the importance of sex and how it plays into your life, and you said, with soul ties and what they're putting into not only into your body but into your spirit and into your soul, you're a lot more careful of how you interact with someone when it comes to that type of level. Because it's like, am I ready to take on everything you're dealing with, your days, your past, like all of that goes into you, and people don't realize like that can disrupt you completely. It can throw your spirit all the way off.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't really have much to
Well,
uh to,
Queen Unique.
to, to add on. I don't have much to add on to what they said. I think they pretty much covered it. I personally myself think that mental sex is way better than physical sex, to be quite honest with you. To me, if we don't penetrate my mind, um, you're probably not going to penetrate my body. Now, when I was a little bit younger, I'm not going to say that. Look, I don't really want to talk about, because we're not going nowhere, right? So if we're not going nowhere, I have no plans for you. You're not about to penetrate my mind, body, nor my soul. But once you get into my mind, that's where my attraction begins. To be quite honest, so the sex is the best exercise that it goes the deepest, and it's just, and it's like, I mean, look at the topic. I mean, I said it's like the ocean. I think I just opened up a whole nother thought process. So right there, I done just now made your mind crazy, King. Think about the ocean. What you think about? Hey, hey, I'm just
as
saying.
they as they do on Love Jones. Well, I think that all you ladies have a valid point on that, but I just want to. No, women think about stuff like that all the time. They do. Um, their mind roams. They got the journals. They write about it, and they do this, other, and third. But I just want to know, man, that how many males have you ladies met in your lifetime that would talk about that topic with you, open discussion, because that's more of an intellectual type topic. Even though it's dealing with sex, it's still an intellectual type topic. So, um, from what you ladies see through the walk of life with these gentlemen out here, these men, out here, what type of conversation do you think you could have about that with certain men? Are there any men you can have that conversation with, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some, but it does have to be, it does take a lot. It does have to be a different level. And you have to be at that same page. You could be on that, I'm more into mental, and they're just like, okay, I'm more in physical right now. So you have to find someone that's on that same level that you are and understand the whole path of it that you're doing.
Okay.
I think my take on that is, in all fairness to my brothers, men don't get the space to be emotional creatures, and women do from early time. So as women, we talk about these things and we divulge into these topics because we've been given the space to do so since we were children. And so men
Yes.
really only have, maybe three trauma responses to when they get too emotional. When something happens to a man, he only has three acceptable emotional response, and typically that's rage or something like that. It's never really like, can you just break down and cry as a man? Of course you can, but society will tell you that that makes you less of a man. And although that's not true, that's just kind of the way the world's been built. Now, I do think that now, since mental health has been such a topic in the Black community, it's our catchphrase of the month at some point. I think Charlemagne the God is doing a really good job at bringing it to the forefront. But I think that since we've been discussing that, a lot more men are open to emotional conversations. But a lot of times you have to dig through a lot of emotional trauma just to even begin to talk about the emotional intertwinement of yourself. So you have to get through all the reasons why he doesn't speak a love language to get to teaching him about a love language. And I do feel like that as women, since we are, I don't want to say more emotionally mature, but I would think that most would agree that it is our duty to bring that conversation to the man and not the other way. And I think that goes into the saying is where's the power at? And we have what they quote unquote call pussy power. Excuse my language. But you said the Saints was supposed to come tomorrow. So
There you go. There you go.
the power lies inside the
Yes.
women. The women
Yes.
are going to be in, and they're going to talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about to get to that end goal. But at the end of the day, men are just way more physical creatures than women are. We require the mental aspect of it, and they don't. And so why would they? Why would they introduce that into a conversation when they don't require it to have a good time? But we do. So I think I feel like it's our responsibility to kind of bring them to that and not look for them to already be there. Unless you date, and this is where my success has been lied, is you date men who are older or who have been married before or who have already been in committed relationships, because or who have children. Those men tend to be a little bit more emotionally expansive, because it's hard to look at your little girl and not and not give her emotion. It's really difficult. So, those men tend to have a little bit more insight, but like Queen Zitra said, it's really, really, really hard to find somebody that's not on the physical first.
Mhm.
When unique.
Uh, the men side. I um I like sugar daddies. I mean, the young men, they like toys, they like shiny things, they like, they want to touch it, they want to, just do things that they're not ready for. And because the younger males, they go physical first, they find themselves in complicated situations, and they didn't understand what's happening. So for me, I'm gonna have to go with, I think, the older men, because life have shown them a little more. They are more, they're better mentally they're better. Now physically, the young boys might got them. So you might
I
just
don't
you
know.
might need one. You might need one and one, because the older man, he probably get tired. So then that's when you get on the phone and you call Ray Ray and you be like, look, Ray Ray, check this out. I know you ain't about nothing. He ain't gonna think about nothing, but he put it down like he ain't never put it down before. But while Ray Ray up in it and he doing what he doing, you're actually thinking about your sweet daddy, because it's what he said to you. It's how he looked at you. So we don't really see the physical. Like, we might feel it. We might be stressed out from work. We might be having somewhere to travel. We might just had one too many drinks and goose got loose and he think that it's going to be something. It's not nothing. Like I told a young guy recently, I said, be careful, because you're valuable too. But you're so quick to just give it away. You mistake, because you lay the pipe down, you think you gotta. You really don't gotta. She knew she was going to fuck you as soon as she seen you, and it wasn't going to be much more of anything else, because you haven't lived long enough. Right? So mental is always going to win. He have experience. He know what he doing. He take his time. He's patient, like you are, King Jacob, with all the ladies. So it's all about, just taking your time, and it's just like when you're cooking dinner in your kitchen. You're not just going to take a roast salad or a steak out of the oven before it's tender, it's seasoned. Like when you cut that thing, it's just so juicy and the flavor just hitting you before you even touch it. So again, it's mental. You got to get in my mind to keep me. Now, if you want me to treat you like we going to Chuck E. Cheese or to the amusement park, we can play a game. It's going to last about 5 minutes. I'm going to tell all my girlfriends about it. I might hit it, quit it, split it, and I'm going to act like I don't really know you. And I don't want to do that to the little babies. So with that being said, just take your time. And maybe y'all older men can teach the young men, just how to take your time. Like, it ain't going nowhere.
Not the children, Lord.
Have mercy. Have mercy. Well. We are all up in the building, and this is a very, very unique type conversation. So I'm just looking at the brothers on this chat box, and they just throwing the eyes emoji up, eyes everywhere. So somebody listening. So you know what I mean.
Tell them if they see something. Say something.
Simple. Not the police motto.
Right.
I hear
it. They might want to be arrested, Mrs. Officer.
If you want to say something, say it, you say it. So the next question, how does the mental mindset make the sex greater in the bedroom?
Ooh. The anticipation.
Yeah, definitely that, for sure. And I would also say too, just like when somebody is mentally intact with you, they can read you. And so like they can feel when you might need something different that night, or when they might need to focus their attentions in a different way, or some men, like you say, that everything is always, they're gonna come in, they're gonna grab you the same way all the time. But then if you get a man that's emotionally intact with you and mentally intact with you, he might can sense that you've had a long day and you're touched out. Touched like that. I want to be touched like this. He might, he just knows how to get to you and make you feel like a woman without even being sexual with you. And that makes me feeling like a woman is the key to my openness. If I feel like, if I'm safe enough to bring my feminine side out, then it's just whatever you want to do at that point.
Oh, yes.
All right then. All righty then. So, Queen Z, what you got for me?
No, I'm like that. That is perfect. I agree with all of it.
Yes. It's kind of it's the reason why there's a difference. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just like, when you have that connection, it is so much better because you don't have to verbally communicate everything because you are on that
Mhm.
same level. And it can be, okay, I'm sensing something's off. Let me come at, this a different way. Let me not, like you said, when you fall into that routine and it becomes so routine, it's like, okay, I already know he's going to touch me this way. I already know we're going to go, and it's just like, okay. But when you have someone where you're mentally entwined with, they know how to cater to you based off of what you're feeling that day, based off of what you need that day. And that makes each time different. I had that
Mhm.
where someone said, well, when is it better? It's like, it's not. Each time is so different. You can't measure it versus another time. Because when I needed something
It's
more
true.
sensual, you knew how to do sensual. When I was, more energetic, you met that. When I just needed to be held because this world is so crazy. And sometimes that's all the stimulation you need is to be held.
Right.
That's true.
So it makes every experience a different experience because you don't know what's coming.
That's so true.
Right. Totally agree. it, it can't
I
be
can
on
dig
me
it.
again.
I can dig it.
It's you.
So, yes, on you again. Yes,
The time has
it's your
Re-
come.
turn to speak.
Repeat the question. I'm all in a whole mental space. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm thinking about the person that's just gonna kind of like walk up to me and be like, just all in my mind. Like these queens right here. These queens right here, just they got me going. They like, no, like, okay, I done just changed my whole list, and my list wasn't even fulfilled. But like, yeah, like to be honest with you, I'm not meeting. Well, I can't say I give anybody a chance like that, but to the one chance that I give per year, um,
Per year.
Not
yeah,
one a
because
year.
it's discouraging. It's discouraging. Like, first of all, like you walk up to me, you calling me ma. Don't call me ma.
Oh,
That's just taking my mind somewhere else to responsibility about my children. And in my opinion, I think that our males are just not in love with themselves enough mentally on a mental, it's all about this physicality. What do I look like? How big, strong, and buff I am. And that's not really what it's all about. It's about knowing how to touch, like the queen said, knowing how to touch, when to touch. And don't just worry about, that penetrate in my body, because that's not what we always need. Even if we participate sometimes it's a turnoff. And that I need to I don't want what is it? I can't see. But the queen on say your name again, queen. I can't see anybody's name. My phone is not doing good.
Portia.
No, not Portia. Queen Z, I think.
Z.
Is Z.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Queen Z, like Queen Z said, I'm trying to go hang out with Queen Z and see what she be doing, because she said every time is different. Like, where the hell did you find him at? Because I mean, it's like if you do this thing, or it is discouraging for me when it comes to the mental sex with the male species, because they're not as quick as I would like them to be on the mind. They see you got Kirby, you this, you that. And it's like your penis to have a head that just won't let you be great. And it's like, dang, I see you and I don't want that. I just want a massage. I just want, you to, I just want you to just kind of get into my mind, see what's there. But
okay.
so far, I'm over here on -0. It ain't mental sex. Nope. Ain't it? Is yep. I think the pandemic killed it all. But where she's in Texas, so maybe I'm going out to Texas and see how they popping out there, because she said it's different every time mentally. Like, that is it. When I find that, I will stop talking so bad about you male species. But until then, I'm gonna talk my good shit.
Yeah. The only thing, and I
Well,
agree with you. It is very
um,
difficult, but
Yes, it is
but it's
difficult.
but it's hard because it's hard work to get to that point. You can't get to that point mentally with anybody without going through that little head that thinks for them. You have to trick them. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but And same thing for women. Like when we talk about submission, it's a training of sorts. But you got to train a man, and your femininity, it oozes all over you. You're very feminine. Your feminine energy is strong. So, you can't expect somebody to just give you a massage when you got, all that wagging in the back. But you gotta train them to. So when he get two hands and you smack his hands and you send him on his way. But you gotta let him come back. And each time, if he's into you mentally, he'll change. But you got, and I think when you say the word train, just like when you say the word submission to women, it has such a negative connotation that people can't see the good in it. But if I'm going to, even if I had a platonic roommate, we have to train each other how to interact with each other. We have to put our boundaries there. And I think sometimes women, we expect too much because they really are. I mean, they've been going their whole life getting it the easy way.
Yes.
There's a lot of girls that's not putting in any effort into them. They just go along with it because they want it to be over. And they're not putting in the effort to be like, no, because you're going to lose a lot. If you're a no girl, you're going to lose a lot. But every man I've ever said no to is in my inbox to this day because now he wants to settle down, but I don't want you. So, but if you teach him, he'll never forget it. So the next female he goes to, the next girl that he talks to, he'll think about that. And the more girls that do it, the more times he's corrected, the better man he'll be for whoever he ultimately decides to settle down with.
So Queen Portia, does that mean we train him we train him to settle down with someone else? Like, I mean, no. Like if I train you, that's not you.
I get what you're saying. But it's the same way that we put blessings out into this world, but we don't expect to get those blessings from the same place we put them in. So the same way that you're training that man for somebody else should be training those men for you. And that's where the girl code comes from. And I get what you're saying. You don't want to spend all your time building up a man, but at the same time that you're building up a man, you're technically building yourself up. So once he comes and he shows the next man you're with, he's going to get a lot of you that man before did not get because you grew, but I mean, that's just how, but I definitely agree with what you're saying because a lot of times you'll put all your effort and eggs into that one basket, which I do not suggest to my ladies. That's why I say,
exactly.
You got that ring on your finger, you do what you have to do to make yourself happy. But I do suggest that, sometimes we don't give them enough. We don't give them enough chance. We're waiting for them to be the niggas that to be the people that we see on TV. And unfortunately, that TV is lying to us. It's lying to us constantly, and it's telling us one thing is happening, but in reality, the real stuff is happening behind the scenes. If Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, baby, trust me when I say it's a good chance that you're gonna go through that in your life. But if we can manage ourselves and our emotions, then we can work through that.
All right.
And Queen Z, Johnny Allen said, do he have a brother? And I said, is it two?
An uncle and a granddaddy.
Hey, the granddaddy, right. Where your grandpa?
Yeah, it's your granddaddy.
Yes.
And she also said maybe the young men can teach the older gentlemen something. Yeah. That's what she said. She said maybe the young brothers can teach the old dudes something. So
listen, I will say this. Now
that's what she said.
I think that some of the younger brothers, the millennials, the Gen Zs, they have been allowed to express themselves. And so they're given a lot more marriage material than the 30s to the 60s. So I feel like some of the younger brothers are actually a little bit more emotionally apt than some of the older brothers. Now, in defense of my older brothers, I think that the older brothers is laying it down in the bedroom. And I think some of the younger boys, because of all these recreational drugs and the lifestyle choices that they're making, that they are disappointments because you're going to expect a young 28-year-old strapping black man to be able to lay it down. And then you're going to get somebody that's got all the gifts but don't know how to give them. So, I'm going to have to say my 40s and up, them brothers be given what they supposed to be given. They backs is strong. They was field slaves. something, okay? Because they, yeah,
God feel
okay. Right? These new generation boys,
He
they
said,
might
feel
work in,
clean. Oh my.
okay, they work in the house. Strong
Wow.
backs, okay.
Dang.
Well, let me put my drink away. Let
So
me drink some.
moving right along.
Hey,
So
Queen Portia,
uh,
they said keep drinking. They said keep drinking. You lit tonight.
Woo.
hmm. So Queens, the next question is uh does the mental sex elevate your sexual personality in the bedroom?
I would
Yeah, I
say
would say
yes.
so. I would say the more mentally you're comfortable, the more physically you're going to be comfortable because you're not
Yes.
overthinking things. You're in a place where, you have more peace about yourself and you have more peace with that person. So you're going to get the best of it. You're going to get the best that come out as opposed to, when you overthinking or you worrying if you're doing this right or, you guys are connecting right. When you guys already connect on that level, it makes the physical way better. I think so.
Agree.
I totally
Agree.
agree. Totally.
Hmm. If you can make me feel sexy inside of my flaws, like if you know what I don't like about myself, and you can make me feel sexy inside of my flaws, that you talking about get real nasty because I ain't got to worry about all the stuff that I'm thinking about. Okay, so all
Right.
the things that go through your head when you turn the lights off and you take your clothes off, I don't have to think about that with the man who knows how to make me feel good inside of my flaws. So that's a turn on. I definitely think the sex is gonna be better if that's the case.
I totally agree.
Like black licorice nasty, okay?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, 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 oh.
You said black licorice
Yeah.
nasty.
Okay.
So Uncle like Uncle Luke nasty as you want to be.
Nasty,
Oh.
nasty, okay?
Hmm.
She make
So
it clap clap.
I guess we can say cat be coming.
Hey.
Yeah, cat be coming. Hmm. Yeah, let me see you scrub the ground. Yeah,
Yep.
I see you. So I see you. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So when you have sex with your mate mentally, can the physical intercourse compare or catch up to the mental intercourse?
I would say that I don't think that men, as much as women don't realize how emotions don't matter. I don't want to say don't matter, but are not necessary to men. I don't think that men don't realize that, like, I guess getting a nut is not so much necessary to a woman. Like, a lot of times, if I'm having sex with my man, I get pleasure out of him getting pleasure. And so at the end of the
Right.
day, if you have mentally stimulated me, whether I have an orgasm or not, which now I'm gonna tell you, fellas, do not listen to what I'm saying and think that it is not your job to bring a woman to an orgasm, but that is not the woman's ultimate, like being in your arms, being penetrated, being kissed on, being filled with your love is what's important to a woman. If there's orgasms in that also, then you're talking about your mind being blown, and now you got what we like to call digmatized because
Yeah.
you getting it from all. It's just hitting you. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm sorry, Jacob. You will
Yeah.
never be able to understand that, but you get
Hey
caught
man,
up.
listen. It's what this is what it is. We
Listen,
live
I
ball
don't
in
know
this
how
cut
many
tonight.
times. Okay, so if you don't ever had your tire slashed or your windows broken out or somebody calling you back to back, then 9 times out of 10 you doing something right. Okay, all right.
And there is
Like
no cure.
It's
There's no cure
you're
for
right because
there's no cure for being stigmatized. Like there's no cure for that. You have to
There's
like
not.
undick yourself. And you're
you
not
really
gonna do that.
do. Oh God, you
Yeah.
really do. It takes years. It's terrible. It's a
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
that takes
terrible.
decade or
process.
more.
I mean
Yeah.
You got to just
Because
run
every time
away.
they circle back, you fall right
I
back
mean,
into
it's
that
crazy.
place.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy y'all say that because y'all women had a anthem going around one summer. The chick talking about, I bust the window out of his car, and it was a #1 hit. A #1
Oh
hit.
yeah.
Talking about
Exactly.
busting the
Everybody
windows
felt
out of his
that.
car.
And you know, I had just bust the window out somebody's car before that song came out. I told the
Hey,
judge I didn't know what happened, but I did bust the windows out his car because mentally, that's where we started. And that's where we stayed. And the physical, I mean, it's so deep in my mind, like the body was sure to follow, you know?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm telling
So
you.
yeah. So y'all save them
So,
windows. Dick is a powerful thing.
so,
No comment.
so we're gonna move right along. So, no, a question. We're gonna speak on the relationships and the consequences, and so we're gonna speak on the mental aspect. So, a lot of times when you make love to a woman mentally, then the physical is already there, even way before you even thought about it. You know, a lot of times she's just waiting on you to make that move because she's already mentally on that next level. And so the question is, when you're in a relationship, um, and when you and your mate are, y'all having that mental part of the sex, how does that elevate the relationship to another level? Not even just when you have the physical, but how does that mental aspect elevate the relationship to a whole nother level, you know, for the woman, so the man can per se understand her on so many different levels he didn't understand before.
That's a good question. I mean, the only thing that I can think of at this point to answer to that is if I'm going to be intimate with somebody that I know very little about or who hasn't mentally stimulated me, I have to mentally stimulate myself. So I have to work really hard to get lubricated. I don't know how else to say that in a proper manner. But if I'm with a man who's mentally stimulated me, I have to work very hard not to ruin my underwear before we get home. Like it's just like my body is going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. It's the same way. I mean, if I'm with a man whom I'm in love with, my body will respond to that. Like my cycle will get thrown off. It's like my body wants to be fertile for this person. And I mean, it's a whole ordeal how you can get pulled into somebody mentally, and that changes the physicality of like you will literally be doing things that you have never done before, and you have no actual control over it. They call it waterfalls. You don't get that. You don't get that by accident.
Huh? No, I
Hmm.
definitely agree. And I know,
Okay,
like, for me,
Queen.
Queen Z or me?
okay, I was like, I didn't know.
Queen
Queen
Z. What
Z.
was you saying, Steve?
Okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Queen
I
Z.
know, like, so I can speak from a part as far as, so I was married before, I'm divorced now, and my ex-husband did not get why I didn't want to have sex. To him, it's automatically, it's another man. It's like, no, you don't open my door anymore. You don't let me order first. We go out to eat, you ordering your meal first, and then, like, okay, well, it's like you're not putting that into me first. So how do you expect when we get into the bedroom that I'm going to be ready? So I'm like, here's the little things. Ask me about my day. If I got meeting schedule, a little, hey, I hope everything goes good. But then it became when he would ask me about my day, is I'm asking you about your day because I know if I don't, you're gonna have a whole big attitude. I'm like, okay. If you're just doing it because I said to do it, I get that you're of course doing it because I said this is what I want. But if you're pointing out I'm only doing it because you said this is what you want, it doesn't make me more ready. So that whole that whole mental thing lacked. And as you know, Queen Portia said, I had to mentally get myself by myself into a place to be physical with them, because it's like you're not doing that for me. But when you're with someone where you could say, hey, here's my day lined up, here's what I got going on, and they're text you in between like, hey, I know your 2:00 meeting's coming up and you're doing this, this, and this, I hope you knock it out the park. That makes you, like she said, when you're on the drive home, you already ready. Like, you ain't gotta say hi to me no more, I'm ready now. So it elevates that, because you know, it's like, you got in my head, you checked up on me, like, okay. And it makes you fall for that person more, because they're putting forth that effort. They recognize the signs. They heard you. That's more important. You were heard. Like, you got everything from there. Like, you ain't got to ask me to do nothing. You getting everything.
Nothing.
Everything.
I'm in there.
Everything.
And I'm about to a short set.
Hey. I totally agree. I had the same conversation, not about mental sex, but I had this conversation earlier with my Queen sisters when we were out, and she said exactly what Queen Z said. You know, she said that it's something about when you have that call checking up on you, seeing how you doing, saying, hey, good night, did you have a good night, or, you know, good morning, those random text messages, just because moments. Those are the moments that really you count most and it add up. And not so much as, you know, just being there, being ready. Like, my thing is if you don't do that, I'm the type, I'm like this, I will do rude stuff. I'm gonna come to bed with like your boxes on, your tank top on, look as most unattractive as I possibly can, because you put nothing into me mentally. So therefore, whatever it is, I tell people, it's just like it's a bank account. What you put in is what you get out. Sometimes you don't put nothing in, eventually those maintenance fees gonna add up. You're gonna walk away with a negative balance, and no one is interested in that kind of credit. So if you can't, again, penetrate my mind, then I'm not coming to bed in lingerie. I'm not about to take that time to go and get really too much that please you. And eventually I'm gonna be waiting for you to get the hell on, you know, and hoping that you are cheating so you can just stay where you are. But it's those moments that we want as sisters and queens, but we unexpected, you know, just come in, you know what, baby, come here, let me massage your feet today. You know, just that glaze in my eyes where we talking to each other with our eyes. Like, can you sit there long enough to even be able to do that? And, you know, you make my favorite meal and I can taste your love in it. I can taste like you serve me. Like, by the time we get from that dinner table, we go into that shower and I'm going to make sure I serve you when we go and lay it down, because you have worked for me. You have put something in me. And when you put a seed in soil, you're going to get a harvest and the flow, and we're going to go. That's what it is.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So there you have it. That's what it is. That's what it's gonna be. So you heard what the Queen said, King. So moving right along on this splendid topic. So the next question of the evening is: are people prepared for the mental elevation, and how did it feel once they understood the mental elevation? And how do they control their emotions on the different levels once they acquire the mental part of the emotion?
I don't think people are prepared for it, because you never know who you're going to run into. So as Portia had said earlier, if you've been getting away with doing things how you've been doing it, that's how it's going to continue until you meet someone that challenges you and makes you say, okay, no, here's how I need to be treated. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's how we need to feed into each other. But until someone puts you and holds you to that fire, you're just going to continue on and until you're ready to be held to that fire. Because once that challenge comes up, you can choose to walk away and go be with someone again that's going to make it easy for you. But when you realize, you know what, I'm tired of having this same experience after experience with just a different face. I'm ready for something to be more. And that's when that's when you're ready. Until then, it's like, it doesn't matter how much a woman preaches at you. how much a woman tells you over and over, reminders, and how much she gives to you, what she's expecting to get back, until you're ready to meet that, it's not going to happen.
Definitely agree. Wholeheartedly. I I don't think I think that that's one of those things like, are you ever ready for children? And people think that they're ready for children and they get those children and every child is different. And so are you ever really ready for children, or do you just kind of jump out there and do it? And at some point you get tired of your damn self. So you start, it's an emotional elevation does not start with anybody else. Oftentimes it's going to start when you lose somebody that you really wanted, and they're telling you it's because you're not there for me, or you don't do this for me. And then you lose something you really want, and then you decide, okay, everything that I'm asking for, I'm going to have to be that. I'm going to have to be the woman that I say, if I want this in a man, I'm going to have to be able to be the kind of woman that that kind of man would like. I have to become the woman that I think that I am. Like, I have to make sure that inwardly I am worth that kind of man, and then he will gravitate to you. And I say sometimes I don't think that women like to do a lot of self-reflection, but I think that men are worse for it. Men ask women to do a lot of things that they could not emotionally handle. They men are so gung ho about this polyamory thing, but polyamory is the love of multiple partners. That means men and females. Okay, so if you want your woman to be okay with stepping outside of her comfort zone and having another mate in your home, then you have to be okay, because in real life, if you're doing anything polygamy, it's always going to make more sense for there to be two men and one woman, because the socioeconomic factor of it. Women don't tend to get along very well. It's hard to manage two female personalities. It's not difficult for men to become roommates, homeboys, buddies. Like, y'all do that by yourself. And then when you're talking about earning power, two men are going to out earn two men are going to out earn two women. You know, but a lot of men ask of women to do things emotionally that they could not return, and that's where they need to start. If they want, they don't need to start looking for a woman, because I think too many men look to women to be their therapists. They look for women to help them emotionally elevate, but they really need to start by asking themselves, are the things that I'm asking this woman to do for me, are they things that I'm willing to do for her? When she gets sick, am I going to care for her? If she cheats on me, am I going to forgive her? Are we going to work things out, or am I going to be coming in and trying to shoot up the place? Or, you know what I'm saying? So emotionally speaking, I think men have got to do some in work before they come asking women to help them elevate.
Hmm. Okay, before y'all get started, I want to chime in on that. I do think you're absolutely right. You got to understand your inner self. Self-development and self-love allows you to do things that you would normally do. And so if you don't have no self-development or self-love, then you can't soul search. You can't really sit back and see what's wrong with you, because a lot of people are in denial about what's really wrong. And so if you can't tell the truth about yourself, then she definitely can't help you in no way, shape, fashion, or form. And if she does try to help you, it's a losing battle that she never gonna lose. And when she feels that she can't and you won't listen, she gonna run track faster than Flash. So that's a lost cause. So I just want to chime in on that. So Queen Z, go ahead.
No, I agree. Like, you guys are making some really good points. I agree. And it's so much. There's the thing that go around Facebook and other social media where it says sometimes I had to work on me because I was the problem, and sometimes that is it. Like, when sometimes you got to sit down and realize, okay, there's a pattern and I'm the one that's a part of it. And you do have to sit down and evaluate yourself mentally and emotionally, and try to figure out, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, and start with you. You can't expect to receive from people if you're not giving out something. If what you're always giving out tends to be more negative, you got to take that step back and kind of work on you. And you can't expect someone to be more or give more when you're not giving yourself the most, because that's where it starts at. It has to be with you. You have to give yourself more than anyone else can give you. You have to love yourself more than someone else can love you. You have to, know yourself more than someone else knows you. And yeah, like you guys, great points.
That actually is like what Will Smith said. He said, "It's not my job to make my wife happy." And everybody got all up in arms. But that's true, because when he passes away, yeah, you have to make yourself happy. What makes you happy? And I feel like a lot of women lose themselves in their relationships, and they literally change who they are. They stop doing the things that they used to love. I'm a culprit of this. And then we wonder why we walk around with these piss poor attitudes all the time, which consequently turns your man away, because a man, he will drive you crazy, make you mad, piss you off, and then go and tell you that he cheated because you're always pissed off. But as a woman, you need to be able to either choose to internalize those emotions or to put them out on the table, and do something with them. But there should be something that makes you happy that doesn't involve anybody, and that's not your kids, not just you, just whatever makes you happy. And to your point, Jacob, I think that that's a really good point, and I think that if men could start there, it would make a lot of things better. Because a lot of the turmoil that we see, especially in the Black community, is a lot of people are lying out loud. They know that's not how they live their life, but they're willing to say that because social media is saying that. And so if men could just start with the simplicity of telling the truth at the beginning, they would be surprised what kind of response they would get. Because I've been a home wrecker before, okay, and but there's been times I didn't know it, and there was a time that I did know it. And to this day, the man who told me up front that he was married is a man that I respect, because he has never lied to me. So he gave me the ability to choose not to get involved with him like that emotionally. So I was able to govern myself and my emotions from the very beginning. So we never had those issues. I never felt like busting the windows out of his car, because I knew what it was when I went into it. So at the end of the day, I felt like I set myself up if I went into it knowingly. But when you love somebody and you find out a year and a half into y'all's relationship that they have a significant other, that right there is something that it takes years and therapy to come back from as a woman, because it's like the ultimate betrayal.
Okay. Queen Unique.
I still agree with the queens. I think, Queen Portia made a strong point. And I'm just kind of starting to pay close attention to this 40 years of living, that until a man really fall in love with himself, and a woman as well, asking for any mental stimulation or looking forward to anything physical, is going to be unhealthy. It's going to be temporary. It won't be much value there, to be quite honest, because first of all, you don't understand what you got. You don't understand who you are. You don't understand how can I present myself to this person. And one thing that I look at my sisters, and even, in talking to my sisters now, and taking accountability and responsibility for ourselves. Like, we want the perfect situation. We want the perfect relationship. We want these investments. But I like to ask, and the males too, how much are you investing in yourself before you go and demand that someone else do it? And then most of all, if you are not making these investments with yourself, mental stimulation with your own self, then why should someone else do it for you? And if someone else do it for you, then how are you going to value it, notice it, or even respect it? You don't know what you're getting because you have never done it to yourself or for yourself. And so therefore, I think it's just unfair to even ask, for anyone to give you anything to expand on a relationship when you haven't expanded within.
That's a really good point.
Makes sense. Make a lot of sense. Very valid point.
Yeah.
And so the last question that we're going to talk about is we're going to chime in on the relationships and consequences. So who tells people that they know each other well enough to get into a relationship? As far as when I say know each other well enough, I see people who've been cordially dating, hanging out for 2 weeks, and they decide to get in a relationship. You don't even know each other's favorite damn color. You don't even know her damn middle name or his middle name. Like, so how are you in a relationship? And the consequences of those type of relationships, or any type of relationship, a lot of times the energies don't match. A lot of times there's no spiritual growth or spiritual presence in a relationship. And so therefore, if you're not spiritually connected, you're not intellectually connected, and you're not emotionally bonded, what type of relationship is that? I only see consequences, and consequences that you're going to have to pay for, not just tomorrow, not for the next day, but for a very long time. So we're going to speak on the aspect of the relationship and the consequences. I'll let you have the floor first, Queen Z.
So I would say when it comes to a relationship, when you have those that get into it so quickly, it's because they define relationship different from other people. Some people to be in a relationship is, okay, we're just focused on each other, we're doing this, and they don't really have so much a goal or a purpose for the relationship other than we just want to be together. And that's just where they are. I mean, I've had friends where they're still married but already moved on to another relationship and engaged. It's like you haven't put forth and finished that, but because you don't want to be by yourself, because this person came along and you're infatuated but thinking you're in love, it's only because they're doing something different than the last person wasn't doing. So you think that that means to get into a relationship. But I think when you are out there and you are dating, you don't immediately zero in on a person. You have to have date around, see other people, because when you're focused on that person, you're not focused on the red flags, you're not focused on where they're not at. They may just do little mind games, but you don't see all of that because that's where all your attention is. So I think for me, when I define a relationship, when we get to that point, we have to have gone through things and not cheating or not those things. When people think gone through things, like, no, not gone through things like that, but where I know you're going to have my back, I know you're going to be there for me, and the same vice versa, where I know you have my mental at the best, like you want the best for me, and we have a common goal that we're trying to reach. Because I'm not at the point in my life where I'm dating just to have fun. We could just go out. Like, I'm not going to be in a relationship for fun. That's a date. I can do that with anybody. I'm in a relationship. You my partner through this life journey where we are right now. So that's why I think it just depends on that definition. Some people are still young-minded when it comes to relationships. So they can do 2-3 weeks. Then, oh, he brought me flowers. So-and-so didn't never buy me flowers. He did this, so-and-so never did that. And that's what their relationship is based on.
Wow, that's an insight. Like, their relationship is literally just like an on the surface kind of thing, and that's how they define relationships. Because I've had this problem in my friend group a lot, so I really like the insight that you just put there, because I'm a long term dater. Most of the people, if I haven't had many relationships, but all the relationships that I had have been 8+, and I already know that if I wasn't, when I'm not in a relationship, I already know who's next in line, if that makes sense, because I've been building with that person on a friendship level, or however. And then I like to take a break in between, which a lot of people, like you say, don't like to do, which means you haven't taken any time to get back to square one with yourself. You just looking for somebody to fill that cold spot in your bed. And so you really just pick what you can pick from instead of taking your time and looking for what you really need. But I think that was some really good insight, because I don't understand it. I'm like, how can you, like, I've had friends who have literally been in relationships for 4 months, and in that 4 months, they've went through every cycle that I've went through in 10 years. Like, it took me 10 years to go through all of the things that you guys have went through. And it is traumatic. At the end of the day, it's going to suck the love out of you. And as a woman, if you're not open to receiving love, you're definitely not going to get it, because a man is not going to work very hard at breaking down your barriers unless you have put something into him. Like, he's known you for 10 years, but a man off the street that just thinks that you're a pretty face, he don't want to waste all of his time breaking down your barriers. So if you are not open hearted and accepting of love, then you're just not going to get it. If you go into it with the perspective that all men ain't shit, then that's what you're going to get, a bunch of ain't shit men. But if you can go into it and be like, I'm going to give this a shot, and really look into that man's eyes and really take him for his face value until he gives you a reason not to, then you're going to be a lot more amicable. And I feel like that makes you feel more like a wife, because you're going to be a piece for him. Whereas every other girl is going, well, I need this and I need that. And if you don't do this for me, then, but what if there was a girl who was saying, okay, well, we can do for each other until we realize if, like, let's be friends first. Let's let it happen organically, and that takes years sometimes. That was some good insight. That's what I meant to say. Long story
But
short.
but 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 this is what I'm gonna say before you get started, Queen Unique. Brother Cedric Bellamy says a lot of people suffer from post-traumatic love disorder. So I know that these queens on here done studied some psychology. So let's break that post-traumatic love disorder down. That's interesting. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Queen Unique, you definitely deal with psychology. So I want you to go ahead and break that down first.
Yeah, and I actually was gonna go there and say, that some people, I mean, a post love, what did he call it? Post traumatic love disorder. So my thing is
Post-traumatic.
yeah, that's a great one. A lot of us do, not even a lot of us. Some people do the trauma bonding. Like Queen Portia said, you don't want to be by yourself. You need that confirmation from someone else, and you tend to move quicker than your mind even tell you to move, because you're going off of, oh, this is the one, and what I like to ask people now is, what's your definition of love? Because how you define love, or how you define mental stimulation or physical penetration, it may not be the same as I define it. And we not having those conversations. We not having them. They're uncomfortable, and it's crazy that it's uncomfortable to have a conversation, but it's not uncomfortable to get undressed, because a lot of the women with a post-traumatic love disorder, you feel like, hey, if I give them some, then I got them, or even down to the male, hey, and I started to look at the men in a promiscuous behavior. Like, okay, I thought, the world say, he a man if he got more than one, or if he get it quick, or, whatever. But when you really, really, really dig down deep into it, at the end of the day, we all are human beings. And if a man is doing the same thing as a woman, is just jumping into, these spaces and places before you even really understand where you are, it's something down inside. And then that's when you begin to do that trauma bond. And I want somebody to hold me tonight because I just lost a loved one. And that holding me tonight because I lost a loved one, it turns into, you called somebody over, and they holding you giving them what they want, and you thinking, well, I told you all of my dark secrets, I gave you, I even gave you what you wanted, and why you're not here, and things things like that. But again, that's just is knowing yourself, and trauma bonding is real, and a lot of us get it mixed up. Or one thing I love too is, after you come away from that trauma, you begin to look different. Your eyesight begins to look different, because healing don't look the same as it is when you're in trauma. And when you come away, you wondering why this person is not attracted to you no more. You don't say these things to me no more, because you look different in trauma than you were when you were healed and whole. Some people feel like, I need to be able to fix something for me to feel validated, for me to feel appreciated. But it's not always about you fixing something. It's about you understanding wholesomeness. It's about you understanding that I'm whole too, and whole need whole to be complete. If you got two broken people, you both trying to fill the void there, or trying to do something that it's just not going to work. And sometimes, you in the bed, you dickmatized, you getting sex down, you got a baby coming in now, you looking at the baby and, well, you need to be here, and you trying to force this thing, when to be honest, it was never really there. It was a moment that was there, and we took that moment as value. We took that moment, oh, I can change him, I see something in him, or I see something in her, and at the end of the day, you just going around the Marbury Bush, and eventually you're going to have a collision. And then we also have this issue too, where that conflict in love. Some people feel like, oh, if you don't be confrontational with me, then you don't love me. If you ain't busting the windows out my car, you don't love me. Getting kicks out of playing with someone's emotions. And it's just, y'all not in alignment. You're not balanced. You might have, this sister over here, or this brother over here, they giving you all, they ready. They at that moment where they feel good about their self, so they ready to share that space. But then you have someone else where they need a little more. They not even halfway where it is that they want to be, and they thinking that we can make love, we can make happy. You can't make me happy. You can't make love, because there's no damn ingredients for it. It's something that grows spiritually, organically. It has to be something that's invested in, and we not spending that time of investment, which our return is looking, like I said, negative or no return at all. Like, you short. And when we wake up and it's like, what the hell? What happened? But I gave you all of this. I've been there for you. Yeah, because that was a choice. Nobody made you be there. You chose to be there. And now that I'm tired of looking at you and I'm tired of you trying, I'm going to go in and get the person that's not trying, that's certain of themselves, because now I'm certain of myself. And I know what that looks like, because I look at the mirror every day and I look at it. So if a person know who they are and they filled up and they ready for that overflow and share that space, you got to be real. You got to be careful. And just because I like how it look doesn't mean, or I like how it smell or feel, or how you say it or look at me, that doesn't mean that I'm ready to receive that. Just because you like it don't mean you're ready to receive the capacity of that gift that's coming with you. And we lose out because we run into things quick. We run into it and we think, I've done it. We think that things is going to be okay, or this is the one, or, we had a conversation for 3 hours and it's really got to be the one because we was talking for 3-4 hours. And to be honest, no, they was just giving you the bait and you took it, and now you upset, or you picking up the phone every time somebody come and they calling you, hey, what's up? Oh, I'm sorry. And you just keep on being there. Well, guess what? To both parties, that's the value that you have for yourself. So it's a negative effect, and you ain't going to get much out of it but a good feeling, and hit it and split it.
So, last but not least, I just want to say this right here, and it's a question that I had with some old heads, and all of them was male. Two was male, two was female, and an old dude asked me. He said, "Ask yourself this question: will there ever be a cure for the disease of lust and deceit?" So I just want to share that with you ladies.
You got disconnected.
Will there ever
Could you repeat that?
They asked me, do I think there will ever be a cure for the disease of lust and deceit?
I say no.
Not at all.
I say no, and I don't want there to be a cure for it. I just want somebody that's strong enough to deny the temptation of it. Because if there were no temptations, then what are you really giving me? Like, no, I don't think the Lord's gonna run out of big bitty bitches in the next 10 years. So yeah, I think that there's gonna be temptation in a man's life. I don't think they're gonna stop using sex to sell. I think that the temptation is what lets you know whether or not you with that person or not. Because every day I walk into the world and I see a man that's taller or that's got more money or that is seemingly a better man for me. And it is that temptation, it is that me turning that person down that lets me know I truly love that person. Now, deceit, I do think that eventually people grow out of that. Eventually, you just get to the point where you're like, I just rather tell the truth because the lie is harder. But I think that everybody has to at least go through either being deceitful or being deceived in order to learn the lesson that it's easier to just tell the truth.
Okay, well put. Valid, very valid point. Queen
Thank
Z.
you.
No, I agree with that. I saw before where it says it's easy to say that you're faithful when you have no temptation. It's easy to say that you're loyal when that's never been tested. So you can walk around and say, "Oh, I'm faithful to you," but no one's checking for you. No one's trying to get you. So of course you have no choice. So I agree with that. Like that puts that into perspective. As far as deceit, no, I think that's something that's always going to be. It's just how you handle it. When you get to the point, as Portia said, when you're done with the lying, when you're rather tell the truth to, your partner or whoever you with and just deal with it from there.
Okay, well said. Queen Unique.
Of course not. If you ever made a cure for lust and deceit, then it wouldn't be fun anymore. So I think that as long as fun is around and people want to have it and they want to do it, it'll always be there. I think that's where you can test the foundation and the strength of your relationship. So I actually think that lust and deceit is actually not a bad thing. It is a great thing. It's something for you to just know who you are again. How strong am I? Am I ready for a relationship, or should I be dating, or should I just be single and not even date? As far like for me, I just don't waste time dating. I rather just be grown. I hang out with you and whatever. But because when it comes to dating, it just seems like to me it's a lot of demand there. And I mean, the world, we lust over things as human beings, and unfortunately we have some people in the world that just can't operate without deceit. I am big on loyalty and honesty, which is another reason, why I spend a lot of time alone, because it's hard to find. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well. Okay, it's I'm sorry about that. It's hard to find, someone who's gonna really I mean, I don't and then too, I don't even think anyone's supposed to match. Like the older I am getting and I'm really, really evaluating the relationship with myself, I'm starting to see, well, I don't want anyone like me. Like the last person I would want to be with is me, to be quite honest. But that doesn't mean I don't want anyone who's not going who's gonna enhance the person that I am. I'm a great person. I work hard on myself. I love myself. I love love. I'm all about it. I love people, period. But to find that person to say, hey, two should become one. No, two should be two. Like I said on previous shows, two should be two. You should be an individual. I should be an individual. The challenge come, can we go outside or go around or be even at work, and those temptations come right there. Like how strong are you really going to be? And personally, I think when you have the lust and the deceit, the first person that you cross is yourself. It's not really too much the person that's going to find out about it. I mean, what if they never find out? You still have to lay in that bed and really, again, see the value in your own self. And if you know that you have a grand person that's laying right there next to you, that's showing up every time, all the time, and you can't, just put yourself aside, or maybe that person is not even fulfilling you. If you feel like you still want to go out here and you want to still play games, you want to be deceitful, you still lusting over things, then perhaps maybe you move too quick into that committed situation, and you should release yourself. And most of all, you should release that person and give them a choice, because karma is real, and what goes around comes around.
That's it. That's what I was gonna say. Like you said, the
Well,
first
well.
person you're gonna cross is you,
Yeah,
because that karma is coming for your ass, and it's
yeah,
not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen with the person that you cross. You think you're gonna get away with it, but the day that you find somebody that you really, really care about, that's the one
yes,
for you. That'll be the day that all of the stuff that you've done comes right back to get you. And
that's
sometimes
right.
karma will skip you and go to somebody else that you love, and you got to
Oh
watch them
yeah,
go through what you put them through. That's why I say a lot of these men need to pay attention to the types of messaging that they are putting out, because it's not going to come back. It's not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt their daughters.
oh yeah,
And they're going to have to
and
watch.
ultimately, that's who's going to have to pay for it. Your children are
Yeah,
going to have to pay for it, because it wouldn't be right if it came back to you. Most of the time, if we know that we done something wrong, we're already in preparation to
correct.
receive that backfire. So it's not going to come to you like that when you already have the gear on. It's going to come through, your loved ones or your children, and you're going to
Hmm.
get upset. But the thing is, how can you get upset with them when it was okay when you did it to someone else's daughter
Right.
or
Yep. I
son?
hear.
Because
Yeah.
the females do this too.
Yep. And I think that if men went back to treating
Right,
all
right.
women like they were somebody's daughter, that the whole timbre of the conversation would change, regardless of what kind of woman. And that's when we say protect black women. If you went outside and every black woman that you met looked like your mother, looked like your sister, looked like your nieces and your daughters, and you treated them as such, it can be platonic. We're not asking for you to jump in front of a bullet, but to be a good Samaritan to somebody who ultimately helped raise your people is not too much to ask. And so, like this bonnet conversation and everything that we're having, black women already are policed by the world, and they are policing themselves. They do not
Yes.
need that conversation to be had. We know what it is when somebody comes out in a bonnet, but also if your daughter comes out in a bonnet, does that diminish who she is as a person, or does she just look like a bum in that moment? And so I think we have too much gravitas applied to the way things look. And that's something that I don't think that other races are still caught up in. And I think that we, especially as black people, Americanized black people, are still very caught up in the way things look, which is why vulnerability is not at an all-time high for men. And now it's not at an all-time high for women. And men are constantly crying about how harsh women have become and how vulgar women have become. But this is the seed that you planted when you chose to make hip hop music sexual. There were no female hip hop artists. And Uncle Luke was y'all's savior. Too Short was y'all's savior. Snoop Dogg was y'all's savior. Y'all bought into that. Tupac was y'all's savior. He had a lot of disparaging things to say about black women, and nobody corrected him. And now that the black women have followed the men and have become and embodied the whores that you guys were praising, now that you have what they call stripper rap, and that's the number one thing. Now everybody pretends like they don't know where it came from. They don't know how we got here. But those same men that only praise people like Kim Kardashian, Amber Rose, the light skins, and all of that thing, but there's nothing wrong with being light skinned. I'm fairly yellow myself, but you can't do that and then turn around and try to convince your daughter who is brown or chocolate that she is beautiful. Because if I was
Right.
beautiful, my daddy would think that I was beautiful. And so a lot of men are causing real traumatic stuff by just posting these memes and things, just trying to get a
Yes.
couple of likes on Facebook. And then they don't understand why somebody like me, I'll unfriend you for simple shit like that. That bonnet
Yep.
conversation, although it may seem very small, it's to the detriment of my queens. It's to the detriment. And to pretend like you don't know why we wear bonnets, and it's not just for hair protection, but hair dressings and things of that nature have been a thing for black women since the dawn of man. And at some point it was regulated as such. So to pretend like you don't know why, and then to turn around and say, well, why do y'all wear wigs and weaves? And then to turn around and say, well, natural hair ain't for everybody. So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like black women don't get the chance to grow. I think it's just detrimental every day to get up and see your own men spewing hate towards you. And even though it's in the form of a joke, in the rest of the world, and when we go out into these corporate Americas, it's not a joke. It's something that we've internalized. It's something. It took me 4 years to wear my natural hair in my corporate office, and when I tell you, I would almost throw up before I would go in because I did not know if it would be accepted. This is the hair that God grew out of my head, my natural afro, and I had to have that much anxiety just to go and talk to a man, a black man who should understand that anxiety. Okay, now if he had locks, he would understand it. But black men have not been policed about their image the way that black women are. And so when they get up and they do these things, they don't realize I don't think that you should wear a bonnet in public. Okay, I can say I agree with that. I don't even own a bonnet. But I'm not going to diminish another black woman for anything because the world is going to do that enough.
Yes.
So I'm just not going to waste my breath talking about something that's diminishing when I could be talking, like we could really be talking about respectability politics and why it doesn't work. That's a conversation we could have. But instead, we're talking about a 99-cent bonnet that somebody bought and consequently wore to the airport.
I think that is very true. Like a lot of the conversations that we have should be held privately. When you are, for instance, with the bonnet, you're posting that and you're going back and forth. Other cultures are seeing how we are treating each other and how our men are putting down our women. And you don't see that so much. You don't see a lot of white men or white women joking about their own, but you see that a lot when it's in the black culture. Like, I agree. Yeah, I personally wouldn't wear a bonnet out in public, and I don't understand the purpose behind it, but I'm not going to sit there and put someone out on Front Street when it comes to that. That's a conversation you have behind closed doors. That's a conversation you have privately, because everyone is watching us, and how they see us treat each other is how they feel they can come in and treat us.
Most certainly.
Can I say something to the comment, the Cedric Bellamy? That I agree. You had Adina Howards. Okay, you had the Adina Howards, but just like today, like when Jermaine Dupri got on TV and he said that there's only stripper rappers, that's because that's the only thing the industry will allow in. Those women that got in that way were not the women. There are plenty of female rappers that do real lyricism, that have real subject matter, but y'all do not put the same amount of effort into it. The fact that Cardi B was allowed to overstep the Queen Lauryn Hill in any facet, and she don't write her music, she don't compose her music, she don't do, and Cardi B makes good music. But the fact that she is put on a pedestal above the great illustrious Lauryn Hill is enough for you to know, like, black men do not invest in the other types of music that there are because they like sex. Sex is what sells. And so I am a musician, and a lot of the reasons why I don't participate in the music industry is because if it ain't my tits and ass leading, they don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. The motto for women in the industry is that the men have to want to fuck you and women have to want to be you. But as a man, you can look however you want to look, and you can choose to talk about what you want to talk about. And a lot of them choose to actively talk about their lifestyles, which is slinging drugs and fucking bitches. And that's what you get. But there's a lot. And men rule the world. Men rule the industry. If men wanted to change that, they could have done that. If Jermaine Dupri wanted to find an artist that wasn't a stripper, he's Jermaine Dupri, for God's sake. If he can't break somebody, who can? So it's just like, it's a difference. It's like the only way I'm going to make it in the industry is if I'm talking about hoe shit. Okay, because they don't want somebody sending the wrong messages to these young girls. So Adina Howard got into it because she was willing to be nasty. Little Kim, she got where she was going because she was willing to be vulgar and nasty. Nicki Minaj was willing to be vulgar and nasty. And there's nothing wrong with those vulgar and nasty women. It's just that that's not, every woman has that facet, but not every woman presents that facet as her strong suit. Like, I do not have Megan Thee Stallion knees, so I'm not doing none of that in the bedroom. Okay? That's not my strong suit. That's not what I'm going to lead with. I'm not pussy popping on a headstand for nobody.
No.
Yes, they are puppets for sure.
That's understandable. That's understandable. And you and I have talked about uh, the industry and the women in the industry, and we have talked about the Rhapsodies and the Queen Latifahs and the
Mm.
Queen Pens and all the women who make some of that what we call that conscious gracious type music.
Mm.
Music with
Uh,
a
Chica.
righteous presence. So and right, right, right. So and it is hard for a woman in the industry because they definitely want you to do things that's not ladylike, and they definitely hold that against you, and they'll put you on the shelf, and even sometimes in a lot of situations they will blackball you. So I will
Yeah.
tell anybody, you know, um, about the industry, and I do talk to my younger sisters about the industry and stuff like that. So, but it's many other things that you can do in the industry instead of being on that camera. Because the sisters that I
Correct.
know behind the scenes make the most money.
Of
I know
course.
sisters that don't do nothing but write songs or they make music and only send them to the music supervisors who are over the movie soundtracks in Hollywood. And these women have never ever been on a stage before. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you don't even have to be on stage to make millions of dollars. So, but yeah, women do have a heart in the industry, and that's for sure. So, with that being said, we out of time, my queens. I have thoroughly enjoyed you. I have learned a lot.
Yes.
We said a lot. We
You guys were
we
incredible.
as the old man would say, we kicked the Willy Bobo today. You know what I mean? So we had some positive vibes, and we had some eye-opening situations that nobody wants to talk about, especially the males don't want to talk about this, because most males don't even want to open up their intelligent level about the mental sex and what it has done for them. They just want to hide it behind closed doors. But who are you hiding it from? Are you hiding it from yourself? Because you can't hide it from her because she already know
True.
what it is.
Yeah.
She know what it
Yes.
is. She can read you like a book. You know what I mean? So she already know this. She just lay back and let you make your decision. And when you make the wrong decision, she kick your ass out the door. And that's facts. So,
Right.
is there any announcements that anybody have?
Queen Z, you got to tell us where to get your book at.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is on Amazon. First, I Had to Meet Me, and it's under Z Montsho. That's spelled Monttsho.
And you said we could get it on Amazon?
Yes, you can get it through Kindle or you can do paperback.
Ooh. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm published, but
Yes.
I want to publish a book, and I think that is so exciting. Like that is just
Yes.
that's a legacy that's gonna last forever. Like forever and ever and ever. Your name will be on the book.
Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing. I think
That
that's
was
a
Yeah.
the
big
So
first
deal.
fear of it, but now that it's
congratulations
out
to
there,
you.
it's out there.
Right. Congratulations. So, are there any up and coming book tours that you're working on right now?
Well, it just actually came out last week, so
Oh,
no
it's
tours yet.
new.
But
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay. Oh,
just
okay.
getting
So
it
it's
out
new.
there
Okay.
was
Then.
the first hurdle. Yes, that was the first hurdle because it had to be something you were comfortable with everyone learning about you and getting to know and just putting it out there and learning your journey and hopefully it encourages others on theirs. So just having to get over myself to put it out first. So
Okay.
finally
Okay.
did that.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a
Okay.
blessing.
That's what's up, man. That's peace and blessings to you. Peace and
Thank
blessings to
you.
you. So, I mean, like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed you guys, and we're gonna have part two of this segment. I'll definitely let you know when, but you know, it's a whole lot of other topics that goes with this segment. Infidelity goes with it, marriage,
Mm.
cheating. You know, um, Homeboy sleeping with they homeboy wives while they going in Iraq. A lot of stuff go with it. So
Ooh.
you know what I
Oh,
mean?
ooh, that's grimy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's a lot that go with this subject. So, I mean, and that's what I'm here for, to spice up the night and to talk my shit. So,
Amen.
so, so peace, love, and ladies, you can always contact me through social media. Anything you need, let me know, and we gonna just keep it popping. And peace
Thank
and
Yes.
blessings.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you,
You're
ladies.
definitely
Thank
welcome.
you for coming on. Y'all held it
Yes,
down.
Definitely welcome.
I
it
truly
was a pleasure,
appreciate you and I
Queen.
enjoyed you. I enjoyed you to the
Yes.
fullest.
Amen.
And
Thank you for the
congratulations
opportunity.
again,
All
Quincy.
right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night. Bye.